If you keep doing what you're doing and you do it well, it may take time, but good things will come of it because you keep getting better and better at what you do.
Hello and welcome back to the Edit Undo podcast. We have another international guest for you today. This is going to be a great conversation. As you know, I am Alfie and Mike. We have my co-host Stephanie. And today we are speaking to another artist. So this guy is someone I knew back from my time in high school. Thank God those days are over. But he is definitely one of the people who kind of was exploring the edges of the culture at that time. He is a amazing artist. He is a graphic designer, and he is also used to be a b-boy, one of the few that I did know in my time growing up. So Lebo, very much welcome to the show. It is going to be a great conversation.
Thank you both for having me on your show. And I'm also glad the high school days are over now. And we can finally learn how to be adults and grow. Still learning, yeah. Every day is a lesson and every day is an adventure. But like Alfie said, I draw, I make pictures. I don't know, that's pretty much it. I never know how to introduce myself. I just always thought.
Cool. So.
But it's still drawing.
Yeah, I draw pictures. What you do is more than just drawing pictures.
No, I just find it's drawing. I don't like to complicate it, because I let people.
Fair enough.
So I just say I draw, and then whoever looks at it can decide. Oh, this is a drawing. This is an illustration. This is that. I just make the stuff and then let people decide what it is. Yeah.
Perfect. So maybe to start off, you could just tell us a little bit about the origin story. Starting from maybe you could start from when we first kind of parted ways at the end of the whole high school thing. Like, how did you actually get to Japan? Because that's slightly far from where you started.
Yeah, very far. So, growing up, I've always enjoyed drawing, and my sister has also enjoyed drawing for as long as I can remember. I think when I was 5 years old, I think I was 5 or 4, I won a drawing competition from Spur, the chain restaurant in South Africa. I don't know if it's still around. Yeah, so I won this drawing competition, and I had this voucher for a whole year, whereby I could eat at Spur for free with my family. Yeah, it was a pretty cool voucher. But having busy parents, we didn't go back to Spur much, at least. And I think from that day on, I knew, hey, I really enjoy drawing. Just playing around with crayons and just throwing paint everywhere on paper, and I was helping my sister draw pictures. And I always knew that I always believed that drawing wouldn't be able to pay the bills or wouldn't be able to feed me, because that's the mindset of sort of traditional African parents and Asian parents, I find as well. They'd either like you to be a doctor or a lawyer, engineer or an accountant, a real career, a real profession. And I always suppressed that side of me, um, the drawing side, the creative side. I loved doing it, but I never took it seriously. But when I got to high school, got into breakdancing, and I wanted to explore the four elements of hip hop, which are breakdancing, graffiti, DJing, and MCing. So I can't rap, terrible. So MC was not in the picture. I can't DJ. I love listening to music, but I always knew that I'd never be a good DJ. So I stuck to breakdancing, and I started graffitiing. And I fell in love with that. And my love for graffiti overtook my love for breakdancing. And as I kept getting into graffiti, I started going into more intricate details. And I had a black book. So when you graffiti, you have this book called a black book. It's got sketches in it and the planning. And in that black book, I had just random drawings. So doodles and sketches and marble characters, drawings, and just anything that I could imagine I drew in that book. And at the end of high school, I started thinking, okay, what do I want to do in my life? But I always knew that I'd like to go to med school. Coming from a medical home, because my dad's a doctor and my mom's a nurse. So it just made sense, following their footsteps. But I failed math by 3% and I got rejected from med school. And I found out on the day the end of year exam results came out in high school, matric, or grade 12, for those of you who don't know what matric is. And I was like, oh, well, I guess I can't go to med school. And I had a friend who suggested that I should go into creative field, which I could earn money from. So she recommended perhaps architecture or interior design or graphic design. And I had no idea what any of those were. I had a clue what architecture is because I love architecture. I love cool looking buildings. But I also knew that architecture needs math in the South African universities, whereas in Europe or in Asia, you don't really need math. You just need a strong art portfolio. So architecture wasn't an option. Would have been a lovely option, but it wasn't an option that day. And yeah, I went to this place called Design School of Southern Africa. It's, I think Vega bought them a few years ago now. So they co-joined with Vega. And I got there with my mom, and my mom was like, hey, my son can draw. Can he study here? And I wasn't against the idea. So I showed them my portfolio, which was all over the place. So keep in mind, some of these students had these immaculate portfolios. Because I didn't take art in high school. So I didn't know how to make an art portfolio. I was just drawing for fun and to kill time. But these students had immaculate portfolios and so neat and so proper. And mine was all over the place, just this black book, just dilapidated. It just had no consistency. On one page, there's like a graffiti sketch. On one page, there's like doodles. And on another page, there's a drawing of an animal. There's no consistency. But I think what the lecturers were looking for was someone who can think out the box, and someone who can handle a pen and pencil, someone who's good with color, and someone who can convey a message. So they took my portfolio and they're like, hey, this makes no sense, but we like it. Can you come in 2 weeks later and take a test and do a live drawing test as well and an interview? It's like, yeah, no problem. Do I need to prepare anything? They're like, no, just bring yourself.
That's amazing.
I was like, cool. And I did the test. We had the interview, and they're like, man, this is good. You can go straight to first year. You don't have to do foundation year. Because one prerequisite for studying there was that you had to have taken something art related in high school. So it was art or I think CAD. I'm not sure. I think some high schools have CAD. And I took none of those. So if you didn't take any of those, then you'd have to do foundation year. So they're like, you can skip foundation.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's so sweet. Thank you. But in my first year of studying,
That's amazing.
I was so negative because I felt like I didn't belong here. I felt that this is my second choice. And I got really bad marks. I passed, but it wasn't satisfactory. I actually failed 2 modules. I told my dad, like, hey, man, I don't think I want to do this. It's not what I planned on doing in the first place. But he was like, hey, you started it, just finish it, and then once you're done with it, see if you want to do something else or if you want to excel further in this field. And I carried on. And something that pushed me was a conversation I had with a friend called Jacob in 2014, my second year, in Feb 2014. I remember it so vividly. I was in his green Hyundai Jazz outside my apartment, and he was looking at my pictures and he said, hey man, this is really good stuff, and I think you have talent, and I think you have a bright future ahead of you if you take this seriously and work hard at it. And that conversation just flipped the switch in my mind. It's like, hey, maybe if I do take this seriously, who knows where this could lead me one day. And that's exactly what I did. So that week I decided, I'd like to have an exhibition one day, and just like to draw. That's what I want to do with my life. I think that's the day I found out this is what I want to do with my life. This is what I really want to do with my life. There's other stuff I'd like to do, but at the end of the day, this really makes me happy, and I'd like to be the best I can be in this field or at this craft. And there were times when my dad asked me, hey, so what is it that you do again? Like, what are you studying? Because he doesn't understand, and shame, I don't blame him. I don't blame him. He's 62 this year. And something my mom and dad have always wanted is for my siblings and I to be happy and to be able to take care of ourselves. So be independent and be happy. And I think they learned that lesson when my sister graduated from law school, because she initially did not want to go to law school. She also wanted to do graphic design, but she was kind of, should I say, coerced into going to law school. And yeah, she did it, but it wasn't her first choice as well. And she just became so unhappy and a little bit miserable. And I think my parents did not want to repeat that mistake with me. So like, hey, study what you want to study, do what you want to do. If you're happy, we're cool with that. We'll support you. Just be responsible, be accountable, and yeah, have a good life. So yeah, that's pretty much how I got into art. I had to fail. Yeah, for some people, I think life begins when you fail. And I think I'm one of those people. I had to, I really had to fail to realize, like, oh, it's not over. There's actually, there's a whole rainbow, like after this dark cloud. So yeah, Japan.
That's amazing.
Japan, how did I get to Japan? So graduated from design school and started working for an IT university, and I was doing all the graphic design, but I was still drawing on the side. I always just knew that I wanted to draw, so every little chance I had, I was just drawing, making art, selling art, making art, selling art, making art, selling art. That was the way of life for me. And after that stint for 9 months, I worked at a law firm in South Africa, Adams & Adams. So
Oh wow.
Yeah, doing I was doing design there for about 23 months, so almost 2 years. Yeah.
Mm.
Then I realized, okay,
Mm.
I'm kind of tired of corporate. Yeah, it's nice. Don't get me wrong. I learned a lot about intellectual property. I met really amazing people there, but the corporate space wasn't for me. It's not bad. It's just not for me. Excuse me. And the place I've always wanted to go to was Japan. I always knew that one day I'd like to live in Japan for a little bit of time. I don't think I'd
Mm-hmm.
be here for so long, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I really like this place.
Where did that come from?
Mm-hmm.
You say you always knew you wanted to go to Japan. Did you watch a anime series, or is there a family or friend member that exposed you to Japanese culture, or why Japan?
So I don't watch anime. It's pretty weird. People often ask me like, "Oh, why Japan? Is it because of anime?" And I'm like, "No, I don't watch any anime." No, I've always been interested in Japan's economy and the
Okay.
work ethic and their attention to detail
Mm-hmm.
with design and hospitality and the little nuances in their culture and language as well. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I would say my first exposure to Japan was through just design, Japanese clothing, Japanese watches, um, Japanese music, Japanese food, and yeah. So when I actually got here, just my mind was blown. I must say though, Japan's perfect
Mm-hmm.
for visiting. I think if you have the means, certainly put that on your bucket list.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, living not super great. It takes a certain kind of person to actually live in Japan. But I think anyone can like traveling here, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't think everyone will like living here. But it's nice.
Can you
Mm-hmm.
tell a little bit more about why you say that? I've never lived in Japan before, so
So the work ethic is very good, but it comes at a price. People often work very long hours, and
Mm-hmm.
so that's something that's just not good. There's no work-life balance in Japan. Work
Mm-hmm.
work is number one. There's a saying in Japanese. It's "Okyaku-san wa kami-sama," which means the customer is a god. So everything you do is
Wow.
to please the customer, which is also, I think, a bit
Mm-hmm.
terrible because sometimes you'll go into a bar or a restaurant and there'll be a very rude patron or customer, and oftentimes staff don't do anything about it because they're afraid to offend the customer, even though the customer is in the
Mm-hmm.
wrong, clearly in the wrong. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's not very nice. Yeah, there's more good than bad, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there is some bad. I'd say another bad is the two faces people have in Japan. So there's
Mm-hmm.
honmai and tatamai. So honmai means that's your true face. That's the kind of face you show to your family and friends, and it's the face only you know. And tatamai is the
Mm-hmm.
face you put out to the world. So you never really know how someone feels about you in Japan because they teach you
Mm-hmm.
that from a very, very young age. Like, don't be so forward, don't be super honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so which is weird because the Africans are so honest. If I ask you out, like, hey, Alfie, do you want to grab a drink
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow? And you say no, that's fine. I take no offense to that. That's fine. And I would expect you to
Mm-hmm.
say no, but in Japan, you're like, maybe, let me get back to you. And then maybe usually means no. So take that as no. It's maybe. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But once you start getting to know the people in Japan, it's really nice. They start showing you their true
Mm-hmm.
colors and they start opening themselves up to you. So again, there's
Mm-hmm.
more good than bad, I would say.
Yeah. And what was it like for you? So on the topic of Japan, what was it like for you actually adapting to the culture? Because I mean, it had to have been a bit of a culture shock.
Oh, so maybe this is a bit hard to believe, but I've had no problems in Japan. And it sounds weird. Like
Mm.
I've had no problems in Japan. Um, it feels like I'm here on a very long holiday. It's it's just a bit too cozy. But of course, the
Hmm.
biggest issue coming here was the language because I couldn't speak Japanese when I got here. I knew how to read.
So you arrived with not being able to speak a word.
I mean, I could say hello and what's your phone number?
I could say hello. Hello.
Yeah, no, but I couldn't have a conversation. Certainly not. And on my
Mm.
second day here, I was in this train station called Shinjuku Station, which is probably in the top 10 busiest stations in the world. There's just so many people in Shinjuku Station. And I was lost. There's so many platforms. I think 1.4 million people go through Shinjuku Station in a day, which is a lot. Yeah, that's crazy. So it's busy, man. And I was lost. And Japanese train stations are a maze. Um, it was so funny. I was just like, I'm probably stuck in this train station. I found my way out eventually, but yeah, I couldn't speak Japanese, and I could only read two of the three alphabets or writing systems. So Japan has three of them, and hiragana, katakana, and kanji. So hiragana and katakana are all right. You can learn those in a month or two if you focus. It's 52 characters for hiragana and 52 characters for katakana. So it's about 104 for both those two characters. But then the other one, kanji, that's the hard one. So to be able to
Mm.
survive and read, a newspaper or book in Japan, you need to know 2,000 kanji. That's like daily usage kanji. So 2,000 characters. So all in all, you would need to know about 2,100 characters to read a book or to read how to cook rice or how to use your microwave or yeah. But that's what I was saying
That
earlier. That
is,
the
That's
nuances of the
crazy.
language I find to be very beautiful because each one of
yeah.
these characters uh, has a special role. So the one alphabet's used for foreign names and for foreign words, and then the other characters used for adjectives and verbs and proper nouns. And then kanji is derived from Chinese, actually, from Chinese characters. So when I was in China, like I could surprisingly understand some Chinese. Like, I understood the meanings. So the symbol for water in
Mm.
China is the same as Japan, symbol for water. So in Japan, you'd say mizu or su, but in Chinese, it's also su,
Mm.
which means water. So um, yeah, I really enjoyed learning the language. I'm still learning every day. I'm not like perfect. I can't go speak
Hmm.
to the prime minister about intense politics, but I can have a conversation with him, and I can hear him out, and he can hear me
Yeah.
out, and we can understand each other properly. And I can go to the hospital and tell the
Yeah.
doctor where it hurts. Um, I can order things in the menu. It's very important. Yeah. Um, I can return items to a store if they're defective. Or, I don't know. I can survive very easily now. Yeah, I can sign my
Yeah.
own documents. I can talk to a lawyer if I need to.
Geez, that's intense.
Yeah, I can understand the news. But I was studying about 3 hours a day. So yeah,
Just
that's
For how long? 3 hours a day.
three
For
hours a
how
day
long
for
until
two
you?
years.
Geez, like that
Two full
is
years, 3 hours a
intense.
day, and I'm still doing that these days, but not as
Mm,
intense because I've gotten
yeah,
comfortable with language, and once you start getting comfortable with
hmm.
language, you start to slack. The
yeah.
discipline starts to slack a bit. But right now, my
Hmm.
focus is on certain types of vocabulary. So for December, I've been learning medical vocabulary. So it's random words like hypertension. What is that in Japanese? What is a neurologist in Japanese? What is hyperthyroidism in Japanese? Just random words. And then next month, I'll be learning legal Japanese. I've learned a little bit of that, but I want to learn legal Japanese. And then after that, I'd like to learn. I haven't decided what it is for Feb, but I'm thinking political Japanese, March. So I have these goals now where I'm trying to learn certain words of certain industries.
I think just to put that in perspective, the English alphabet is 26 letters.
Yeah.
And you just said the third alphabet is 2000.
Yeah.
And it took me, I think, 3 years of primary school to learn
ABC.
my alphabet. Yeah, ABC.
It's crazy to imagine.
No, the two languages are completely different, I'll be honest. Japanese and English are just worlds apart. Completely different. A few, I mean, some parts a little bit similar, but for the most part, it's completely different. So to learn Japanese, I would say it takes dedication.
Yeah.
If you want to learn it.
So I wanted to shift gears a little bit.
No worries.
Because I think there are many people who imagine being an artist, especially in the early days, like while you're at school and all of that.
Yeah.
You've got this like creative drive that's burning in you.
Yeah.
But the general narrative around this space is that you're going to be a starving artist, you're not going to be able to pay your bills and all of that. So can you maybe talk to us a little bit about, like, for you, when you first started to see that this is actually like a possible financial future? Like, like when you sold your first artwork, and maybe, when maybe after your first artwork, when it actually started to look like something that could support you from a financial perspective.
Yeah. So that's actually, you answered my question. When I first sold my first artwork, that's when I realized, oh yeah, this is good. This is healthy. I can survive. Maybe I won't be a billionaire or a multi-millionaire, but I'll have a comfortable life if I just keep at it. And I think that's what's important. What's important is your happiness and what it is you want out of life. So I want a fulfilling life. And for me, a fulfilling life is being able to do what you want to do for much of your day, every day. So when I sold my first artwork, I was like, all right, I can live off this.
And how did that happen? Like, how did you? Because I mean, the first sale seems like the most like difficult or the most foreign. So can you tell us a little bit about that first one? Like, how much did it sell for? What was it?
Where?
All of that.
To who?
So in 2015, because in 2014 I had that goal that I want to have an exhibition, and I don't know how I was going to do it. I just knew I wanted to exhibit my work in the gallery. And in 2015, when I turned 21, I thought to myself, this should be my birthday gift, my 21st birthday gift, is to exhibit my work. And I spoke to a gallerist in Pretoria, and he first saw my work and said, not good enough, you need to make it better. It's like, fair, I understand. I'll make it better. So I kept working, and then 3 months later, I showed him something else. It's like, all right, this looks nice. Can you make a collection of this kind of work? He's like, yeah, no problem. And I worked so hard on that collection, man. I was like sleeping in the gallery a week before the opening night.
Wow.
Like, there's a couch in the gallery, so it's like sleeping in the gallery, and it's just trying to piece everything together. And it became a success. I sold all the works I wanted to sell. Some I wanted to keep for myself, but all the works I wanted to sell, I sold. And the first one I sold was to my best friend's dad. They were a Belgian family, and they actually ended up buying more works from me after that first work which they bought.
Oh wow!
And I was 21. keep in mind, right? I wasn't like paying any rent. Like all my expenses in life were. I was very fortunate that all my expenses in life were paid for by my parents. So all that money I just got to keep as pocket money. And that's what
And
the
this
first.
was a solo exhibition,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah. This was solo.
Wow.
21 pieces for my 21st birthday. That's how many I
Sure.
showcased. Yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah.
You're definitely into symbolism, hey?
Yeah, no, very much so. I like to make things meaningful. Don't just showcase your work. Make it meaningful. Make it interactive. Make it fun. Make it memorable. Because to this day, I still have some people saying, "Oh man, when are you gonna showcase again on a birthday? Because it was so fun, like, celebrating your birthday with you and coming there for the art." So those kinds of comments just keep you going because it shows that people really would like to see your stuff. I mean, I had some guy from Ireland, 14-year-old guy. I don't know him. He just messaged me on Instagram. So, "Hey man, I don't know you, but I really like your stuff. Please never give up. You inspire me." I was like, this is so adorable.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he's like, "I'm 14, I'm starting high school, and I want to draw like you." I was like, oh, that's so amazing, man. Like, so it really touched my heart.
Amazing.
And so it's messages like those that kept me going. But yeah, back to that, the first work, the sale was 10 grand. Just that one work.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
that's insane.
Yeah. And then the prices just went up as the years went by.
For your first exhibition and a solo exhibition and being 21 and, it's the first art you're putting out to the public, that is such an incredible success story.
We're struggling to hear you, Steph.
Ooh. You're
back now?
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. I was saying, being so young and, the first time you're putting artwork out to the public, your first exhibition as well as your first solo exhibition in one, that is an absolute incredible success story.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thanks
so impressive.
Much. Yeah, it is crazy.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it as well. I was like, what is going on? I just want to draw. And I've always said that I don't want to draw to make money. I want to make money to draw. So I want to have enough finances to just draw. Yeah. So I don't want drawing to be the reason why I want to make money, survive. Yeah. Because I don't think that's good. If you constantly thinking about the money behind the work. Yeah.
Your parents must have been so, were they surprised? I mean, especially if you don't come from a family that's filled with artists, like you said, it was more like a very academic, medical family you came from. Were they surprised to see, you're so young and you quickly made quite a big success of your first exhibition at such a young age?
Yeah, they were happy. Certainly happy. My mom not so surprised. My dad a little bit surprised because my mom would see me drawing every single day without fail. Every day I would be drawing for however many hours. At one point, she kind of banned me from my drawing tools. She's like, "Hey man, you need to recharge. Like, this is a bit unhealthy. You're just drawing too much. You're not doing anything else." So yeah, it was a bit dangerous because she kept telling me, like, you're not sleeping enough and like hurting your organs and you're hurting your brain, you're hurting your eyes. Just sleep more, like go out more. It's like, no, I'm very happy doing this. Thank you. So I think for her, she knew that if this guy's putting in all this time and effort, it will pay off somehow.
Mm-hmm.
But for my dad, yeah, he was a bit surprised. But so my mom and dad buy art as well. I think they've stopped now for the past like 10 years because they don't have space for it anymore. But they've always loved art for as long as I could remember as well. And they never had anything against it. They just never pictured their own child being successful of it. Yeah. But they always knew that it can pay because they've seen art prices.
Yeah.
Like, oh wow, this is expensive. So they know what kind of industry it is. They know there is money in that industry, and they know that there are artists who are living comfortably from selling art. But I guess they just never pictured their own child in that light. Yeah.
It didn't become real until it was real.
Yeah. To be fair, I also surprised myself.
That's amazing.
I just wanted to celebrate my birthday with my friends and show my work to people. And yeah, it surprised me, caught me off guard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So from that exhibition, I had other people inquiring about the work, just people from all over. Like I had dude from England and dude from Miami and lady from Australia. Wow. Just snatching up the works as well. So
did you freak out?
I just wanted to get the work to them. I always said that more than the money, more than getting the money, the important thing for me is if someone really appreciates the work, because I would like the artwork to outlive me and outlive them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe that's why artists strive to make really nice art, so that it can outlive them one day and they can leave their mark in society on the earth once they pass on. So I've always wanted to make sure that the person who buys my work really enjoys it. They really know what they're buying. And I've never told anyone like, you must buy this now, or like this is the sale. I always tell someone, take your time, think about it thoroughly. Do you really want to buy this thing? And if you want to buy it, then let me sell it to you. But I always make sure that when I do sign it and sell it, I'm very happy with it. I have no doubts in my mind that it's going to be hanging very nicely on someone's wall, and it'll be making that person very happy. So it freaked me out in the sense that, are people really paying me money for this? That's what freaked me out. But it didn't freak me out in the sense that I knew that I'm giving it my all, and I'm trying to just give quality to people. Yeah. For me, quality is very important.
Can you maybe speak a little bit about your creative process? Has it changed? What is your creative process that you follow when you make a new piece?
So, it has changed. When I was younger, I just used to draw. Just draw and then see where it ends up. But as I started progressing, in my own art career, I started realizing that there needs to be more thought and planning to the work. So, for example, right now I'm working on a drawing, a Mount Fuji drawing. Mount Fuji is Japan's most iconic mountain. And there was an artist called Hokusai. Yeah, Hokusai, Japanese artist. And his most famous artwork is The Great Wave of Kanagawa. It's this artwork of Mount Fuji. Yeah. Katsushika Hokusai. That's his full name if you'd like to read up on it. Katsushika Hokusai. And he made this artwork called 36 Views of Mount Fuji. So just traveling around Japan and painting, making with block prints of Mount Fuji, different views. And right now, that series is still relevant in Japanese society. People still love that series, and people still remember Katsushika Hokusai. So right now, the artwork I'm making is called 21 Views of Mount Fuji in the 21st Century. And I've taken some pictures of Mount Fuji from different locations throughout Japan. And I'm trying to show how Mount Fuji is still as relevant today as it was back then. It's still super relevant today. It's just that the surroundings around it have changed. Now there's the Shinkansen, and there's telephone wires, and skyscrapers. All these things didn't exist back then. So that's the kind of thought I put into making work now. I plan, I need to take pictures of this. These are the kinds of materials I need. This is the kind of message I'm trying to convey. And I plan it out. So if I need to take pictures for reference, I go do that. Or I just buy photos from Shutterstock on the internet. If I need to interview someone, I try get that interview with someone who may know about the subject matter I'm trying to draw about. And besides that, it's not rocket science. I just draw. So once I have all my information, I just put it out on paper. Usually I'll sketch it out, pencil, and then one layer of pen and ink, and then another layer of pen and ink, and then I'll start just painting, adding the embellishments like gold leaf or Swarovski crystals, or copper dust, or anything to make it pop, as people would say.
I want to ask you about a specific piece I came across your Instagram feed that I was so blown away with. It's called Siblings. And firstly, I think the first question I had was, immediately when I looked at it, I saw a big Japanese influence, at least from my exposure of Japanese art and aesthetic. It did speak to me in that way, especially your color usage as well, the black, the white, and the red. Once you moved to Japan, did your style evolve a little bit with the influence of Japanese aesthetic? Is that aesthetic now part of your style?
So I actually made Siblings back in 2018, so a year before I came to Japan. Yeah.
Nice.
So maybe Japan was in my body already, in my mind already, I don't know, but I wasn't thinking about Japan when I made Siblings. I just knew red is a nice color. I love red. It grabs your attention. But yeah, I would say since living here, my style has evolved a bit, quite a bit actually, because now that my mind's at more ease, I'm able to take longer times producing work, more risks as well. I'm experimenting more, and I'm seeing cool things which I didn't get to see back in South Africa. Yeah, so I think as an artist, if you do move around, generally you will get some inspiration from the new place you're living in. Unless it's a really terrible place, but even that, you can still find beauty in the hideous. Yeah.
There's another piece you create, and I don't know, Alfie, if you can pull it up on the screen. Go for it.
So the thing that I wanted to ask is, there's something that's very interesting about this style.
Your audio disconnected.
So there's an
when
anime
you
that's very, very, very big at the moment. It's called Demon Slayer. I don't know if you might have come across it. And so in that anime, like, so it's really, 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 really big at the moment. It's one. I think it's done one of the best of any anime, especially it's penetrated Western culture. It's penetrated like here into like the movie came out I think earlier this year, And this style really reminds me of it. And like especially because the one thing that's really great about that anime, I think, is it takes the aesthetic of sort of modern anime,
Oh yeah,
but then it brings in this sort of like
Kimetsu no Yaiba
drawing
in
style
Japanese.
to the animated aesthetic. And it feels like the waves that, because there's also like this water element to one of the characters in it. And I feel like the waves that you've got here really speak to that style. So can you, I don't know if if there was any inspiration around how you kind of came about this style, or if there's anything that you want to speak about specifically relating to the stylistic elements of this.
I love waves. I just love waves. I love the ocean. I live by the coast actually, and so growing up, my sister and I always knew that we'd like to live in a place where there's an abundance of green, so like a forest, and then right next to it there's the ocean, and that's where I'm living right now. There's beautiful forests, and so that side is the forest and really nice rivers, and then behind me is it's the beach. Um, so I just love water, man. I really 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 love water, and I love waves and how they move. I love the fluidity of water. And that's what I try to portray in my art is fluid motion, just fluidity, just smooth lines, movement as well. I don't know why. I just love it. It just talks to me. Yeah, it makes me happy.
Hmm. It's the weird thing about creative, like visually creative fields. It's like, people always ask you to explain things, but some of the things can't actually be vocalized. It's kind of more based on a feeling.
Yeah, sometimes I find words are woefully inadequate, and that's why I draw because I don't speak well. So, so I was interviewed 3 years ago, a few days before my second solo on Morning Live, and I was just told by my PR lady, like, "Hey, 2 days later, you've got an interview with Leanne Manners on Morning Live." I was like, "Really?" She's like, "Yeah, go out there, do your best." And I was so nervous. Like, I don't know. I think I butchered it, but people who watched it were like, "Hey, man, we really enjoyed your interview." And then I had parents messaging me like, "Hey, so my daughter or my son wants to also draw for a living. Like, can you give us advice, like where to study?" So, I was on the show, speaking to this distinguished interviewer, but all along I thought I'm just butchering this. I don't know what I'm saying. But it turns out that it resonated with some people, and some people really thought that that information was very useful to them. So yeah, I still always say that words are inadequate for me personally, and that's why I draw. Um, yeah, so like you're saying, I can't tell you why waves. I just love waves. I love fluidity very much.
So there's a picture that we kind of saw on Instagram that Stephanie and I had been debating about, and it's a picture with you, and you've got two pencils in your hand, and we were trying to figure out like, are you ambidextrous? Secondly, is there like a drawing style that requires two pencils?
No,
Or
no,
was it just the angle?
no. There's no draw. Well, maybe there is. I don't know. Maybe there is. I don't know. But I do use both my hands when I draw those, so I'm a little bit ambidextrous.
What?
Yeah,
Wow,
Wow.
that's amazing.
yeah.
And is that something you learned, or is that like had you always been ambidextrous?
No. I taught
'Cause it's
myself
not very
that for
common.
drawing. I
For
can't.
drawing.
Well, I can't do it for other things really. I mean, unless I'm driving and I need both my hands on the steering
Yeah.
wheel.
Hopefully.
Cutting fruits and veggies, and I need one hand to fold down the fruit and veggie. But for doing technical tasks like drawing or writing, um,
Mm.
yeah, I taught myself how to do that just for drawing.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you still use
Yeah.
that technique, using both hands now when you're making pieces?
Oh yeah, that's still using it.
Sure.
That's crazy. Like
Yeah.
like every time I try to use my left hand for anything that isn't like super mundane or super basic,
Yeah.
I'm just like, for example, if I lost my one arm, I would become useless.
Yeah.
My left
No.
hand is like, it feels like it's just, yeah,
I,
it's
Dude,
not very
you can do
useful.
so much more. Like if you train your left hand, it's amazing.
gosh,
Mm.
I'm not going to try.
Well, and if
You
you're not
know,
going to try,
Lebo.
then I hope you don't lose your right hand.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
I hope so, yeah.
This photo where you are pictured with both hands on the paper, it's also a symmetrical piece, which also just blows my mind. I would get if it's a non-symmetrical piece where you're using both hands, because then for me, you have different expressions in both hands, especially because, obviously now you're trained to use them, or they have the same hand-eye coordination, but to make a symmetrical piece, wow, that's just, yeah. Because you learn how to draw a circle, for instance, with your right hand, going that way. It's such a natural movement. But then doing it with your left hand, you're also going in the opposite direction because, yeah, coordination changes. Sure.
Yeah, it was very hard to get into the habit of doing that. But once you start practicing and doing it, then you really get into the swing of it. It becomes easier and easier and easier.
So another question I had more around the subject matter of some of your pieces. So in some of them, I see a fair amount of I hope I don't get this wrong, but I think it's Hindu influence. Can you speak a little bit towards either that subject matter or kind of where some of your inspiration comes from in some of the work that you do?
Yeah, so this might be a long-winded answer, but uh, so like I said earlier, I want to make money to draw. I don't want to draw to make money. And I think if you get into the habit of, or the mindset of drawing to make money or painting to make money and signing to a gallery, and sometimes you sort of sell your soul because the art market is actually, I mean, there's a lot of money, but it's quite small, and there are quite a few gatekeepers in the art market. And you'll have gallerists tell you like you must have this style and you must do this kind of work and this is how you must paint, and because for them it's just money. They just want to sell your art and make money, which is unfortunate. So I always knew that I don't want to stick to one style in my entire life, or one subject matter, sorry. I want to have the same style, but not the same subject matter. So if I draw an apple and a cup of coffee, just a still life of an apple and like a cup of coffee, then that style should look the same throughout anything I draw. So if I draw that and I draw, I don't know, a portrait, you should be able to tell like, oh, he drew this. He drew this, he drew this, he drew this. Whether I drew a portrait or this pen or the scarf or that portrait behind me there, I've always kept that goal in my mind that I want people to be able to tell that I drew this, irrespective of what it is that I draw. So my subject matter changes as time goes by. So sometimes I feel like, oh, I want to do something about religion because I'm looking at religious texts. So there's this artwork I made back in 2016 called The Amalgamation, and that was inspired by religion and mythology. Because during that period in my life, I was asking, I was confused about religion. So I wanted to explore religion through art. So I went to temples, and I went to mosques, and I went to churches, and I looked through various religious books, and I put that all into that drawing. And then, like a year later, the Belgian family I spoke about earlier, the the dad commissioned me for a Kama Sutra artwork, so I made a Kama Sutra artwork. Siblings, is inspired by nature and butterflies, because Siblings Part Two, the one with the butterflies, I was in love at the time, and it felt like I had butterflies in my tummy, and that's why there's a huge butterfly motif, and the waves representing the overwhelming feelings of love that I had in my life. It's just like consuming me and consuming these little butterflies. So the subject matter changes, but the style will never change. Yeah. So I just draw what inspires me at the time.
Yeah. So I find not very many people do that. There like a lot of artists kind of have a number of different styles, and it sort of develops over time. Like, I guess two questions. The first, when did you kind of first decide that, okay, I need to define my own style as an artist? And then can you also talk a little bit about how you went about doing that?
Oh yeah. So when I was gallery hopping in university, some artworks looked a little bit generic. So, I would see like, oh, this is a painting of jacarandas, and that's it. It didn't really say much more to me. I just think it's just a painting of jacarandas. That's it. And I always knew that I don't want to make art that looks like a photograph, or art whereby I can just take a photograph or something. So
yeah, photorealistic. Yeah,
photorealistic does not do it for me, unless it's cool, right? So this portrait here is not photorealistic. It's a human, you can tell it's a human, but it's not photorealistic. I can't point my camera out and take a picture of a person and it'll come out like that. But can I turn my camera? No. Oh, okay. But this painting is, I would say, a little bit photorealistic, because the waves are just so well detailed, and it looks photorealistic, but there's a story behind it, and yeah, there's actually something going on. I can't just take a picture of the scene. So I'm always gunning for a style where it's a little bit hard to replicate. I've always known that I want to make that kind of work, whereby you can't just take a photo of it, or you can't just replicate it. Yeah, and I always knew I don't want to be boxed. Like Lebo is the artist who draws animals, so he's the artist who draws trees. He's the artist who draws cars. Because there's certain artists for that. But then you have artists, yeah.
There's a lot of artists out there that struggle to develop and get confidence in their style. And it seems like, firstly, you have an extremely distinctive style. And maybe that's contributed to your success as well. And from what you're saying, exploring different subject matters, it to me seems that you are quite confident in what your style is, so that you are feel safe enough to explore different subject matters. Is there some advice or guidance you can give other artists that are still developing their style, or maybe don't feel like, their style is distinctive, or they're not quite sure what their style is?
Yeah, firstly, nothing's new under the sun. So what you are doing, someone has probably done it, or someone is probably doing something similar. And that's fine. Don't feel bad for that. Don't feel bad about that. That's okay. But like Picasso always said, a great artist, what he said, I don't want to butcher his quote, but he said something along the lines like, a great artist copies and makes it better, which is what the Japanese also do. Japanese people have been known for taking ideas from other countries and making it a whole lot better. So, don't be shy to look at someone's work and try draw what they drew, because maybe within that you'll find something that you like from that person's work, and then don't be shy to take someone else's work and make what they make. Obviously, don't publish it and sell it as your own. Just do that for practice. Like take this style and paint like that, and then take your pen and then just like doodle on that because you saw someone else's artwork. You just want to doodle that on there, and then you'll see like, oh, I like how this looks. This looks a bit different. So you need to experiment. Just keep experimenting with your materials. Use pen and paint. Use pencil and gold leaf, whatever. It doesn't matter what you use. Just experiment. I would say that's the most important thing, because you never know. You'll never know what you like creating or what you can create if you're comfortable and you don't experiment. You must experiment. Yeah.
What is your mediums that you use?
I mainly use pen and ink and acrylic paint. Recently, I've been using a lot of gold leaf and a lot of Swarovski crystals as well.
Sure. Okay, that's very interesting.
But certainly pen and ink, those are my core mediums. The rest is just to embellish the artwork. Yeah.
Another question I had for you is more about inspiration. So you mentioned about kind of visiting these temples, mosques, and churches when you were kind of exploring religion, but that really only speaks towards that specific subject matter. Do you have like an approach? If you are an artist and you are struggling to find inspiration and you are struggling to tell a unique story, how do you approach getting inspiration, and what might you say to a person who needs some guidance?
Well, it depends on what kind of artist you want to be. So if you want to just paint portraits, for example, if you just, again, I point to this one. If you just have this art style and you just want to paint portraits, I don't think it'll be too hard to find inspiration, because there are human beings everywhere. And you can just ask someone for a photo. But if you really want to get into the thick of things and mix subject matters together and tell your own story, I think that can't be taught. I think that's something that uniquely comes to every creator. So yeah, I don't know how to answer that question really. It just comes to me personally. I can't say. Like, I have a long list of things I want to explore and draw and paint, and yeah, I'm just going to do that. So I can't tell someone like how they must get inspired. I would say certainly explore, go as much as you can, go out there, see new things, try different experiences. I think you really find answers in doing something you've never done before, being in places you've never been before. So yeah, I would say definitely explore. Have a lot of conversations with people. Talk to people. You'd be surprised what you learn from just talking to people. All types of people. Maybe within that, your story can spark your imagination. For me, I watched cartoons a lot when I was young. So cartoons really just inspired me, because I thought to myself, these people are not real. These events are not real. This is just so beautiful. It's entertaining. It's nice to watch. It's not real. So I thought to myself, well, the person who thought of this, what inspired him? What inspired her? But then I realized that person cannot give that answer really, I think, because it's just something that comes to you. Because people always say, well, I always tell people drawing is easy. And to be fair, drawing, anyone can be good at drawing, but not everyone can be creative. super creative. So if you take this pen and put it on the table and say, hey, draw this. First time, it won't look good. Second time, it'll be better. Third time, much better, and so on. So anyone can learn how to do that. Anyone can learn how to draw, right? But if I say, hey, draw this pen and make it look cool, that's where the creativity comes into play. What are you going to do to make it look cool? Will you draw the pen with wings on it? Will you draw a worm coming out of the pen? Will you draw the pen with legs on it? And that can't be taught. I don't think that can be taught, personally.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the skill can be taught, but the creativity can't be taught. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Lebo, do you live alone?
I live alone. Yeah, I live alone. Well, no, I live with my baby Haru over here.
Yeah? Oh, little fish.
Yeah, my fish. not a human, not a human baby. Though. I'm not ready for that yet.
Yeah, I was gonna be like, how did you make a baby alone? That's not easy.
No, I live with Haru.
How long have you been in Japan now?
I've been here for 20 months, since July 2019. So on my birthday, on my 25th birthday, I got to Japan. I landed in Tokyo.
Of course, symbolism.
Yeah, no, that was actually the reason. I was like, I'd like to start the next quarter of my life in a place which I think I'll enjoy.
And how has it been being alone? I know from what I can hear, as an artist, your mom told you to stop drawing because you get so immersed into it. So it seems like you're quite okay being by yourself. But has it been lonely being by yourself there?
No, I keep myself busy and talk to my girlfriend as much as I can as well.
Is she there or is she here?
No, right now she's in the Philippines, and COVID is making it a bit hard to see each other. Yeah, but I think I'm just like the two of you. We all want COVID to go away, or at least the fear around it to go away and to end. Because I don't think it'll go away. I think it's here to stay, just like the common cold. But I think it's the fear and the hysteria, which is kind of driving us all mad now. Yeah. But no, I keep myself busy. So again, swimming, cycling, futsal, drawing, reading. I love cooking, so I cook a lot. I love going on drives. I like exploring Japan, talking to my girlfriend, spending some quality time with friends, talking to my family. So yeah, that definitely keeps me busy in a day or in a week. So I would say I'm in a good place regarding fulfillment. Yeah.
Definitely doesn't sound like you're a massive extrovert and people person. I think Alfie would die if he had to move to Japan. And firstly, not speak the language, so you can't make friends immediately, and be isolated by yourself, and then the whole COVID lockdown as well.
Yeah. No, luckily
I would not survive. We
didn't have lockdown. Yeah. The government just asked everyone to stay home. And this was last year for a few months only. The government's like, hey guys, can you guys stay home? COVID's here. It's kind of serious. It's like, yeah, cool. We'll do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people.
A very compliant culture.
Very, very compliant, very disciplined in that regard. And we just did our part.
Sure.
Yeah, it worked out well because right now the cases in Japan have just shot down by a huge margin. Yeah, it's just. Wow. It's almost as though people have forgotten about this COVID in Japan.
Isn't that a nice thought?
Yeah, it's a nice thought, but we are aware that it's still here. We still wear our masks and sanitize. Yeah, I think something that's also helped Japan is the cleanliness. So it's very clean in the streets.
Yeah.
And restaurants are very clean as well. people here take hygiene seriously. Not everyone, of course. I don't want to oversell the society, but for the most part, yeah, it's very clean.
So, Lebo, do you mind telling us a little bit about the project that you just came from? You said that you were working on some kind of a mural or something like that?
Yeah, I've actually got two friends who have a bar. Well, they're opening a bar next week, Friday. And they just asked me to spray something on for them. So I thought I'd just go at it with black and white, but then it turned into something colorful and very unexpected. So it's actually my first mural in Japan, because I haven't done a mural in Japan. So it was quite special. And the people really loved it as well. And I was really inspired by what we painted, because they also helped, these two guys.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and they've never done it, so they were just learning along the way. But it came out really, really nice. I was actually very happy with the results, and so they were. And yeah, I'm just very happy about the mural.
Are you allowed to share with us like what it looks like if you had to describe, and then we'll post a picture so all the listeners can also see? But I'm super intrigued to what it was.
Yeah, I can share it.
Can you maybe talk us a little bit through like the subject matter or like what the mural was actually about?
So murals I've made have always been shapes. I never draw detailed elements into my murals. It's always just shapes. And the first one I did was 3 years ago, which was just black and white. And then it progressed into black, white, and red on another mural I did. And then after that it was full color. So today was also full color, but it's colors I've never used. So I was just trying to experiment with colors and shapes. Because if I had to do what I do on paper on mural, that would take way too long. So I'd rather keep it simple with the murals. And take.
Why did you just go ahead? Sorry.
Oh no, I just take shapes from the actual paper artworks and make those murals, just the shapes.
Interesting process. And you said you used colors you've never used before. Was that because of the restaurant or the bar's color scheme, or why did you decide to use new colors?
Yeah, partly because of that. So they've got this dark green countertop, and I thought it'd be really nice if one of the colors from the wall matched with that countertop. And there's a bit of red in there as well, so we put a little bit of red in there. There's no blue, but we put blue in because they really like blue. They love the ocean. It's an island nation, so they really love the ocean here. And we put a little bit of blue in there as well, and black and shades of off-white.
Can you show us your hands? I want to see the paint colors, because I can see there's still a residue on your hands to actually see the colors
So,
you use.
There's that green, yeah.
That's a lovely green. Yeah, flip.
Yeah, it's quite a dark green, and
Like
some
an
more
emerald
blue
green.
and
Sure.
so pretty. Yeah,
Evidence of the process.
evidence of the process. But it was a good day. I really enjoyed it, and made me realize I should probably start doing more murals in Japan. I think I'll enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of graffiti in this country. That's the thing, though. It's a bit hard to find graffiti in Japan.
That's actually very interesting that you mentioned that, because we previously spoke a bit about the Japanese culture, and I think correct me if I'm wrong, but graffiti's origin is a lot about rebellion, speaking up the voice that can't be spoken in public, and all of that jazz. So I'm just trying to make assumptions here as to why there wouldn't be a graffiti movement or ever have been in Japan. Have you done a bit of research on that, or do you have an answer?
I've never done actual research,
Yeah.
but what I think, I could be wrong, so don't quote me on this. But what I think is that
We will.
well, it's very policed here, so it's a bit hard to just spray. I mean, there is some graffiti here and there in Osaka, Tokyo as well, but it's nothing massive like what you'd find in Johannesburg, in Mawoneng, or in New York, or in any other global major city. So
Interesting.
I think the other reason is because people like the walls a bit simple, like on the outside. Inside places, yeah, there are some murals. You can see some really, really nice graffiti. But on the outside, you don't really get to see it. And I think people prefer it that way.
Very clean nation. Yeah.
They like it very clean. Yeah.
Very interesting topic, actually. Something to explore if you're writing a thesis.
Yeah. I'll actually look into it. I've never looked into it, but I probably will look into it at some point. Because I do think about it a lot.
So now that you're done with this mural, what's next? Do you have a next project coming up, or what is in the horizon for Lebo?
So right now, just make art. I'd like to have a good amount of big drawings and a good amount of small drawings ready for next year. So this year, make a lot of art and stay focused on that. I can't quite share what's in the pipeline for next year. But for this year, it's just making art. Yeah. For next year.
Okay, that's very... I'm very intrigued.
Same. We'll keep our eyes out.
Yeah.
Please do. But I will keep you in the loop as the time gets by. As we get close to the time, I'll let you know what it is that's been brewing.
And maybe we can record another episode once you're closer to the big reveal, and we can kind of highlight whatever it is that you're working on. Amazing.
I guess that's really it at the end of the day. So it's that if you keep doing what you're doing and you do it well, then it may take time, but good things will come of it because you keep getting better and better at what you do. So that's something my lecturer taught me, was that just always keep producing, always keep creating.
Consistency.
Being better than being consistent. That's what it is. Just be consistent. And that way you're always ready for a lot of things. Not everything, but you're ready for a lot of things that may come your way in the industry you're in. So, yeah, the goal is to be consistent. That's what's on the horizon.
Nice.
Cool. I think that's a good place for us to call it. Maybe just before we kind of close the curtains, do you want to give us an idea of where, give everyone an idea of where they can find you, where they can follow you, like what's the most up-to-date platform?
I would say Instagram. Can you leave the details in the description?
Yeah, we definitely
will do that, definitely.
Okay. So Instagram and website as well. That's it. Yeah. Email. If you'd like to send me an email, that's also cool. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm not everywhere. I'm there, but I'm not everywhere. Yeah.
I think that's perfect. And I think it's quite cool that you're also open to people just chatting to you on email. But yeah, thank you so much for your time, Lebo, and sharing just your journey and your story. And we are very much going to keep our eyes on what you're going to be doing and producing in the next year. And yeah, I'm very stoked to see this mural and get a photo of what it actually looks like.
Thank you guys for having me. Thanks, as well. Lebo. It's a very, very good time being here, and let's stay in touch. And
definitely will. Yeah.
to everyone listening, thank you very much. And that's a wrap.
Cheers.
Bye.